presenter who will be able to pepper you, the companies with questions. But before we get into the agenda, I'm going to show you a quick video.
Welcome to the second annual UCSF Digital Health Awards 2020, the Academy Awards of Digital Health, where we honor the best technologies that are defining and leading the digital health revolution.
We want to improve healthcare.
So we're really excited to be part of this wonderful evening.
Collaborators include the top healthcare incubators, accelerators, and venture capitalists across America, featuring the top 100 digital health innovators in the country selected from over 1,000 entries, 15 curated award categories, hundreds of judges selected from the healthcare community, healthcare industry thought leaders, thousands of online attendees, and dozens of virtual events, culminating in the September 23rd finals, honoring those who are reshaping the industry and making a difference in the COVID pandemic.
Join me, Twee Vu, as we honor the role digital healthcare plays in rewriting the future of health.
And the UCSF Digital Health Awards is narrating that future. Join us on September 23rd at 6 p.m. Pacific time for a 90-minute celebration as we honor these winners, changing the future of healthcare.
Excellent. Oh, I'm back. Well, here we are at the patient cost savings roundtable, semifinals roundtable discussion. And this is going to be our agenda for today. Our agenda is we're going to go through some introductions, introduce the companies, introduce our moderator. The companies are going to go through a 3 to 4 minute overview of who they are. And this is based in great part on the submission that they gave, which allowed them to win and become one of these great semifinalists. And at the end, we're going to go and have some questions from the audience. So we're going to let you guys use the chat system. Now, we had a problem on the last, we actually got, we got Zoom bombed on the last version we did. So I'm not quite sure exactly how we're going to use the chat service today. So what you might have to do is text some of the questions in. Yes.
Mark, everyone, for the attendees, you can still type in your questions in the Q&A box that you see there. It's just that the chat box is disabled.
Okay, great. Yeah, we got Zoom bomb. So, okay, great. You're going to run right into the agenda, and we're going to keep this to 45 minutes. It's the end of the day. We have 3 of our companies here presenting, and we're really beginning to figure this stuff out. I am the chairman and founder of UCSF Health Hub. It's UCSF's innovation hub. I do this as this is a nonprofit. I'm a volunteer, and my day job is I'm a venture capitalist. I invest in digital health companies. I like all things digital health and healthcare, and this just keeps me busy all day long. We've got a great group of directors and team members at Health Hub, and we're doing this because our goal is if we can do anything to help healthcare companies, specifically digital health companies, scale and grow, we're going to do it. Typically, we'd be based in Mission Bay, which is where UCSF's campus is. Obviously, now we're not, but we think we sit right in the epicenter of where all the healthcare innovation worldwide happens, and Mission Bay is right there in the center. Before we get into this, huge thanks to our sponsors. Couldn't do any of this without sponsors. Who are our sponsors? First of all the bottom 4 rows are these are the venture capitalists who donate to UCSF Health Hub, pay the bills, and keep things going. We have multiple events typically on campus. Now we're doing a webinar series where we have a matching service where we match companies with mentors and investors. And we at Health Hub, what we're trying to do is anything we can do to help companies scale and grow. And these are the venture capitalists behind the scenes. Specific to the award show, we have 5 other sponsors. We have Livongo, who was a winner last year, a big sponsor for our show, Silicon Valley Bank. Our primary sponsor is Wilsons & Sinha, a law firm I know a number of you know and love. NTT, the big Japanese telecommunications company, and now getting very aggressive in digital health and healthcare. And Novartis, specifically their Biome, which is their accelerator. They have one in San Francisco, and they have quite a few of them around the country. So hats off to our sponsors. We couldn't do any of this without you. So how did we get here? We're talking about 4 companies that have made it through 3 rounds. There were hundreds of companies, and this actually over 1,000 companies submitted applications to get a digital health award. 750 qualified, and we've gone through a 3-month process in 3 rounds. We went through a first round, a quarterfinals round, and recently the semifinals round. And in the semifinals round, we're now left with 4 companies in each category. We have 250 judges. These judges represent clinicians, they're professors, they're venture capitalists, they run healthcare systems, they manage clinics, and they're people that felt comfortable putting up their hands saying, I know a bit about digital health, and I'm full-time in the healthcare industry, and we qualified them as a judge. So this is not just UCSF, this is not just UC, this is basically, we have a judging population that's nationwide. So the criteria, how did these companies get here? Well, in our first round, we really wanted to split those companies up based on their validation and their traction. We wanted to make sure we had companies that we could then reference to healthcare systems, reference to clinics, reference to people that wanted to buy their solutions. And you know, this is our second year, so we learned a lot in the first year what it is we really needed to do after the award show. After the award show is our job is going to get out to the healthcare community and tell people that you guys are all winners. As far as we're concerned, semifinalists are all finalists, and you're all winners, and you're all in this final package. This is going to be a big part about what we do post-show. But to get here in the second round, we actually, there were 50 points, 10 points focus on value to customers. How important was the solution that your company is working on in the big scheme of things? Are you solving the problems of millions of patients or just a few patients, for example? What's your level of innovation? Are you a fast follower, or are you really innovative? Do you have a great patent portfolio? Your validation, have you gone through clinical trials if applicable? Do you have FDA? We hope so. But these are all things that are super important. The more trials, the more validation, the better. Traction, do you have millions of people using it, or are you just still working with your first 15 or 20 customers? Super important to us and to our judges that we want to recommend things that are validated and have traction. And then it comes down to differentiation, which is a lot of what goes on today. How different are you? Why are you different? And why do you stand out? So I get to introduce our co-moderator. I've known Ruchita for actually 3 years, something like that. She's a new partner at Advocatia Ventures. She knows her way around digital health and the biotechnology community. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce yourself a little more, the firm, and then introduce the companies.
Thanks, Mark. As Mark mentioned, I am a partner with Advocatia Ventures, which is a venture fund focused on early stage investments in enterprise tech and healthcare companies. And we're based in Palo Alto. And I've spent most of my time looking on the healthcare side and doing early stage investing on the healthcare side. As we think about the roughly $4 trillion US healthcare industry, we know that about a quarter of it is really waste, which means that essentially the same quality of healthcare can be delivered to the same patients at a much lower price. So at Advocatia Ventures, we have a very strong interest in new technologies and business models that identify these points of waste, make care delivery more efficient, and generate cost savings. In the last 6 months, if we have learned anything, it is that healthcare can be delivered and consumed in fundamentally new and often more efficient ways. So we are excited at Advocatia about the change that is about to come. And this change will be led by innovators like our 4 semifinalists in the patient cost savings category. So if we could move to the next slide. And one more. So here are our 4 semifinalists, and congratulations to all 4 of them for doing what they do and being so successful at it. innocaccer, Advocatia Solutions, CarrumHealth, and Sword Health. And today, unfortunately, Innovacer wasn't available to attend. So I'll quickly go over their plan. And if you could back up one slide. So essentially the four questions that we've asked the semifinalists to talk about today is: one, what's so unique about your solution? Two, what does the existing user journey look like? Three, what is your validation? How do you differentiate yourself? And four, what does the next 5 years look like for you? So let me introduce you to Innovacer, which leverages artificial intelligence and streams rich analytics with custom insights and dashboards, automated workflows, and provides point of care alerts and real-time decision support for care teams. So they already have integrated 3.8 million patient records, generated more than 400 million in savings. And the way they differentiate themselves is a unified patient record for the healthcare provider and payer. They offer a transparent, real-time, and collaborative care delivery through a FHIR-enabled data activation platform. With that, I'll hand it over to our three entrepreneurs to introduce their companies. So Ryan, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Ryan Brebner, co-founder and CEO of Advocatia Solutions, and we're focused on the $38 billion in uncompensated care a year. And we've built a company around the ability to utilize proprietary algorithms to connect patients to benefits programs. And that can include state, county, federal, and local programs, largely driving savings and obviously connectivity and the ability to let patients actually access care in more normalized manners to reduce cost across the board. We're currently contracted with over 200 hospitals across 23 states. We've maintained 100% client retention in the 4 years we've been in business. And I think most importantly, we're empowering the most vulnerable individuals in our community and helping them gain access and reduce the overall cost of care that it takes. Thank you.
Okay, Brent, do you want to go? And then Anna.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Brent Nicholson. I'm our Chief Customer Officer here at CarrumHealth. And at CarrumHealth, we are a technology platform that directly connects employers and their employees to the best providers in the country, all on the foundation of a value-based care model. In terms of the validation that we've received, we've gotten great traction from the market. We work with over 100 employer groups nationwide and cover, actually now it's actually over 1 million lives on our platform. Some of the other results that we've achieved, quality improvements in terms of 5 to 6x reduction in readmission complication rates, avoiding up to a third of unnecessary procedures, and reducing the cost of care for some expensive surgeries to the tune of 35%. And last but not least, thinking about the patients that we have a privilege of serving, we've been proud to earn a Net Promoter Score of 96, which is hard to come by in any industry, let alone healthcare. I think what makes Carrum unique is the ability to shift all of this wasteful spend away from the dominant fee-for-service reimbursement model, which has been cited as the biggest obstacle to improving healthcare delivery in the US. And so instead of paying for the quantity of services, Carrum pays on the basis of value. And this incentivizes high quality, cost-efficient care.
Thanks, Brent. And Anna, do you want to go next?
Sure. So hi, thank you so much everyone at UCSF and Ruchita and Mark for having us, and this is a great honor. Sword Health is a digital musculoskeletal care provider, which is a mouthful. Basically what we've done is we've taken clinical grade physical therapy and we've digitized it, making it more convenient, more effective, and, you know, enabling it to scale out to provide care to those who need it most. So the unique thing about our solution is that we are the only company in the market. There's a lot of MSK solutions out there. We're the only one in the market that combines real physical therapists, licensed physical therapists, and sensor-based, inertial motion sensor-based technology to provide a level of care that matches or actually exceeds the level of care that you'd get in the real life clinic. The user journey today, so our users, our patients sign up through their employer or their health plan. So we're selling to employers and to health plans. They sign up as a benefit. So it is for most people, a no-cost benefit to them. They have a video call with a physical therapist. They are shipped a kit with motion sensors in it and a tablet, and they do their exercises at home or wherever they like, whenever they like, monitored virtually by their physical therapist. Their physical therapist then is able to take the feedback that they get from the system, from the sensors, and tweak the program so that it is evolving as they evolve. The thing that we're particularly proud of at SWORD is that our solution has outperformed traditional physical therapy in clinical trials by 30%. So that was a post-surgical recovery use case, but we also have incredible outcomes in chronic pain. We can reduce pain by up to 70%. And then really importantly, when it comes to cost savings, we're reducing the likelihood that people are going to resort to less effective and more expensive interventions like surgeries and injections and medications. We've proven that we can reduce surgery intent by up to 64% and medication use by around 30%. Next 5 years, we really are, you know, we're building ourselves our momentum here in the US and are looking to crack the nut of the $190 billion musculoskeletal care industry and reduce a lot of that wasted spend. So that's where we're really focused right now, and ensuring that we are delivering high quality musculoskeletal care and saving both patients and their payers significant amounts of money.
Thanks, Ryan, Brent, and Anna. As Mark mentioned earlier, you guys are clearly all winners. So we're excited to have you here. We should probably move into the roundtable discussion. So I think the first question is, which partially a lot of you already answered, is how are you changing status quo? So if you guys don't mind, and maybe the order we could go is Ryan, Brent, and Anna, since that's how we started. But just a quick overview on how your platform is changing the status quo in your sector.
I think for us, it'd be important to start with, I guess, the story of how we created and why we started Advocatia, which was I have a 17-year background helping the uninsured and underserved patient population. And in doing so, I saw countless people who, you know, didn't receive assistance when they entered into the ER and utilized that as their primary care provider. And so what that ended up having is repercussions across the board. The uninsured population is, delays care 9 months longer than the insured population. By the time they seek care, it's usually something considerably catastrophic and twice as expensive. And so after I had assisted, everybody has a story, I'm sure, of what kind of kicked them into starting and founding a company. And mine was assisting an individual who, delayed care into that exact same scenario, had been in an ER and, probably just gotten a few letters from the company I was working with to try and help assist them, a few phone calls, that type of thing. And unfortunately, by the time they finally did seek care, several months later, they had missed an early cancer diagnosis. And so they had a stage 4 cancer diagnosis by the time that their pain had gotten to the point where they decided that the debt was worth it. And so we built Advocatia around simplicity and around scale, looking at how do we intervene and how do we assist people as early as possible, proactively if possible. Can we market to the community, have simple tools to get people to understand what their options are, And obviously in COVID, where we're seeing anywhere from 9 to 27 million Americans potentially losing health insurance, the ability to have really simple tools in order to make people aware of what's available to them and to get that coverage so they don't miss care, they don't miss treatment. We think that becomes, even more and more important.
Thanks, Ryan. Brent, did you want to go next?
Yeah, absolutely. So to start by describing the status quo, I mean, the way that we pay for healthcare today is called fee for service. And that means that everyone is busy generating and processing and haggling over bills, and no one's actually accountable for the outcomes of the care that are delivered. And at Carrum, we are evolving this payment model to be oriented around value. So we instead pay for the quality or the value of the care that's delivered rather than the quantity or the volume of services. And so this eliminates wasteful spending, it creates lower and transparent costs, it improves overall quality of care, but the heart of our mission is really improving the patient experience. And we do this by delivering better outcomes while at the same time relieving patients of the mental and the financial stress of medical bills. And so, in this way, at a micro level, we have an impact because we just don't save patients on their out-of-pocket costs, we eliminate it completely so that the patients can focus on what matters most, which is getting healthy rather than fighting the healthcare system. And then at a macro level, healthcare costs, I mean, we all know in this country are rising to an unsustainable level. And so the potential impact of our model is so broad and scalable that it can fundamentally change the trajectory of our system.
Thanks, Brent. And then Anna?
Sorry about that. So if you've ever had a musculoskeletal issue before, any kind of pain, an injury, broken something, chances are you have gone through physical therapy or you have been recommended physical therapy or prescribed it by your doctor. You may have gone to your physical therapist once or twice, maybe once a week, and been given a set of exercises on a piece of paper and told to do the exercises. And if you're in the sort of 30% of people who do their exercises, then you might actually see some results. Unfortunately, the 70% of the people who don't do anything with that little piece of paper don't actually see any outcomes and results from their physical therapy. Physical therapy is the recommended first-line intervention for musculoskeletal conditions of all kinds, and it actually works if you stick with it. And the intervention that works most effectively is therapeutic exercise. There's a lot of other stuff that physical therapists have kind of built into the model to make people feel like they're healing. But in reality, the thing that works the best is therapeutic exercise. The model that physical therapy has currently in the clinic scenario has not changed in 60 years. And 60 years ago, it was fairly easy to go to a physical therapist, make an appointment with that physical therapist, drive there, wait in the waiting room and get your physical therapy. Today, it just doesn't fit our lifestyle. And so you see very, very low adherence rates to physical therapy. So people are not able to make it to their physical therapist. They're not able to make that appointment. They're not able to wait for hours in the waiting room. And so people don't go. They don't go to their sessions. They don't then adhere to their exercise program, and then they fail physical therapy. The problem then is that they then resort to other interventions. They decide that they need to pursue surgery, which may cost them $50,000, or they decide that they need to, go get some more imaging and be told that they have a bulging disc and need some injections. They go down a rabbit hole of medication and opiates, and you know where that one ends. They pursue all of these additional interventions that are not going to be helpful for them because their initial physical therapy did not work. So that's what we're doing. We're disrupting that. We're giving people an opportunity to do physical therapy that is effective, the way that they want it, when they want it, so that they don't have to go down the rabbit hole of other less effective interventions.
That's great. Thank you. So one of the, I think that ties into the second question, one of the things that is my personal favorite to hear from entrepreneurs is that personal motivation to start that really kind of made them start the company. And so Ryan, I think you touched upon it in your earlier answer. So Brent and Anna, if there's a story to share, or if you have a story to share around the founding of the company and what the personal motivation was, it'd be great if you could share.
Yeah, this is Brent from Carrum. I can go. I mean, really the story behind Carrum has to do with studying some of the problems in the healthcare payment and delivery model, and really observing, you know, we didn't necessarily invent the concept of value-based care, but what we're doing is helping to catalyze the shift of the industry towards these types of models. And I think it's because when we saw some of the initial proof points, I mean, there's just a tremendous impact. I mean, this can solve a big, you know, getting into that $1 trillion problem that was described. I mean, so if we just take musculoskeletal spend as an example, I mean, just a small number of patients with musculoskeletal pain actually get surgery, but they are responsible for up to half of the musculoskeletal spend. And so that's why we felt it was important to initially focus here to address that problem, and then cut that spend in half by avoiding unnecessary care and then lowering the cost of the necessary care. And so, you know, by targeting that, you know, initial market of ours, which is self-insured employers, I mean, over 100 million Americans get there, but, you know, then we can apply this model across, you know, all kinds of other purchaser segments, from workers' compensation to fully insured plans. And so there's a potential for a huge impact here, and that was really the motivation behind starting Carrum. But you know, if that's kind of the head, what the brain thinks, the heart of this is, you know, as has been touched on today, all of us have friends, family members that have been kind of victims of the system. You know, you hear all of these stories that are written up in, you know, the New York Times or NPR about the impact of medical bills. It's, you know, one of the leading causes of personal bankruptcy in the US. And we felt that in addition to, you know, making this change for the sake of evolving the business model in the healthcare industry, we can have that personal and individual impact of truly helping the patients as they seek care.
Great, thanks, Brent.
So Sword's founder, Virgilio Bento, he founded the company because his brother was unfortunately in a bad car accident when he was a child and was disabled from it. And his journey with physical therapy was initially good. And when he was doing the inpatient, he was starting to get outcomes. And then when he was discharged, things fell apart again. When he had to do outpatient physical therapy, it turned out that there was not a way for him to do outpatient physical therapy at the level of intensity that he needed in order to rehabilitate properly. And so his entire family flew to Cuba, which was the only country in the world where they were able to get physical therapy at the cost that they could afford at the level of intensity that they needed. And so at that point, even then, he thought there's got to be a better way. And since then, he's devoted his life to using technology to solve this problem. So that's how we started.
That's great. That's a great story. Anna, there's a question that came in from the audience around wearables. So the question is, do you incorporate any wearables into your solution?
So we have inertial motion sensors that our patients strap onto their bodies. So by that definition, yes, we have wearables. Those then give feedback back to the device. The patient can see how they're performing in real time. So as they lift their arm, they can see their range of motion. They can also see whether or not they're performing the exercise incorrectly, which is enormously helpful, because if you're not doing it right, then you're not going to get better. So yes, so we do have devices that you wear. I don't know if they are technically in the category of wearables, but you know, they're inertial motion sensors. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. My next question is around the different times that we are living in right now. So how, if you could talk, and maybe Brent, will go to you first this time, if you could talk a little bit about kind of how COVID has been a boon for you, for your team and the business, and in what way, then please share. And Brent, maybe you could start.
Yes, absolutely. So, you know, at Carrum, you know, just like all of the rest of us, you know, in March and April, as we were, you know, embarking down the path of this new world, you know, those were uncertain times as to, you know, how employers were going to respond, how providers and you know, the rest of the healthcare industry. And I think we've been very encouraged that, you know, there has been tremendous growth with Carrum, and a lot of that has occurred since the pandemic actually set in. And I think there are a few reasons behind that. I think there's a bit of a pent-up demand for the type of care that we support at CarrumHealth, and patients have been unfortunately delaying necessary care. So, you know, several of these services that we offer through our program, I mean, we don't think of these as just purely elective surgeries. We actually consider these essential surgeries. And so as people have started to seek out the care that they need again, there's actually been a moment where Carrum solution has really stood out. We can help employers better manage this kind of upcoming wave of spending as this pent-up demand starts to get released. And as we all know, employers are under really intense cost pressure these days. I mean, we've all seen the headlines, and so we can help employers on that front while actually improving the benefits that they offer for their employees at the same time. And this is something that's, you know, we feel is unique about our model, because, you know, typically for employers, there are trade-offs when it comes to employee benefits, right? You can save money, but then you have to cut benefits, or you can improve benefits, but you have to pay more, you know, to add on additional benefits. So, and that's actually not the case in our model. So we can actually make this a win-win. So we can help employers navigate this new landscape where they're under such intense cost pressure, while actually then bringing some good news to their employees. Hey, we've actually introduced a new benefit to support you in this time of need. And so we've been really happy with the traction, even since the pandemic, and the ability, you know, for a lot of these employers to step forward, recognize that, you know, this can be a great thing for not only the employer, but also their employees, because they can get them to better quality care, and then eliminate the financial cost and the stress associated with that.
Thanks, Brent. And then Ryan, maybe you could tell us a little bit about how COVID has impacted your business.
Yeah, I mean, I think from you know, some of the earlier conversation in terms of the old way, you know, a large part of patient financial assistance is driven in a people-to-people kind of methodology. A lot of times, especially with underserved individuals, it's usually done bedside when they become admitted inpatient. And of course, COVID presented a difficulty with people being able to get bedside and to walk someone through that. Additionally, you know, a lot of the tools that we initially built to simplify the process and to capture, you know, where, you know, because in the old way, you could never scale enough people to make it financially viable to assist the people that were utilizing the ER as their primary care. You know, the solutions that we had built around solving that problem actually then translated very well into helping our hospital clients address assisting patients when they were in the COVID situation where they weren't able to get to bedside. They were trying to help make sure that they were protecting their staff. And I think most importantly, it's really led to a massive adoption and a willingness. I think we've all seen, you know, probably healthcare take a great leap forward in this past year that might have taken, you know, 5 to 10 years under normal circumstances. And I think a lot of that has to do with just trusting that digital solutions work, and that the ability to leverage those actually, you know, will determine the success of your organization now more than ever. and the ability to utilize that and to trust patients to, you know, get over the learning curve very quickly. And I think our benefit was always that we really made sure we had built very simple products, because we have such a wide variety of people that we have to help. And then just from a business perspective, looking at the financial impact across the board and seeing, you know, how many people need assistance for social determinants of health programs now that they've, you know, lost employment, seeing people who've lost coverage through their employer and needing to find other resources in order to maintain access, and really seeing a willingness of our clients and partners to meet that need head on, and to try and make sure that they were being as proactive as possible in helping their community members, I think has been really impressive, and we're really happy to see that. So it's certainly been a silver lining in something that otherwise is, you know, sucked for most of us, for lack of better wording. So.
Thanks, Ryan. Anna?
Yeah, I would echo parts of both what Brent and Ryan said. We are seeing exponential growth and a lot of interest from employers and plans, because they do need to solve this massive musculoskeletal problem, and great physical therapy is a good solution before you go down the road of pursuing a surgery. In addition to that, we're also seeing some of that belief change, that, you know, the belief that in order to do really great physical therapy, you need to be touched by a human being. It's not true. We can actually get great physical therapy and a great human connection digitally. It warms my heart to see some of our testimonials come through. We've been able to help some of those people whose procedures have been delayed. We've been able to help some of those people who are sitting in suboptimal work environments and are starting to experience MSK pain. We're giving people an option where they didn't have an option before. We're still seeing scenarios where people are either unable to go into PT clinics, or they're afraid of it. They're still not super confident that they should be entering the medical system at all. And we're able to provide them an alternative to that as well. So yeah, again, silver linings in a very not great place.
Well,
Thanks. Go ahead, Mark.
well, I think this is pretty good. I mean, we're right at our time, and I think this this group has done a great job. You guys have had actually more time because you had a no-show. First of all of you guys are amazing winners, as we know. You're all going to be, you know, semifinalists. We're actually calling you. You're a finalist, and you're here for the ride. And we're really really excited to have you here. Ruchita, thank you very much for moderating. This has been great. I realize this is the last of my breakout session, so I'm particularly excited about that. Want to talk about what goes on next. Well, what goes on next is in a week. We're actually having the grand finale, and we decided to keep everything super compressed here. It keeps the judges engaged. It keeps everyone engaged around our program. So we're doing it from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. Now, we purposely picked this time. It was based on what everyone wanted. And the whole idea was to sit back at home, have your friends with maybe it's a shot of tequila, or there's, you know, whatever turns them on, and to watch the celebration. And we're celebrating all of you guys in a really shitty year. There's been some great stuff. And if it wasn't for digital health and a lot of the innovations we're seeing from all these companies, we'd be in a lot worse of place. And so this is going to be 90 minutes of celebration. And I wanted to thank you guys again. Tell all your friends, family, cousins, whomever they might be, to come register at ucsfhealthawards.com/join for the event. We're targeting 10,000 people to join us. We've got some great guest speakers and presenters. And again, have a good evening, and thanks for everything.
Thanks, Mark, for putting this together.
Absolutely. My
you.
pleasure. You guys are great. All right, have a good evening.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye.